Alrighty, welcome back. I'm your man, Bad Chad, and Queen Jolene's on the camera, and we are on air. We've got Jolene's car pushed out. We're going to seal up the inside. It's that time. It needs to be sealed up on the inside. We have this car, when I put it together with square stock on the floor and the console. If you remember, if you've been following, if you have not, or whatever, it's a piece of square stock on a cross member on the floor. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it just keeps continuing all the way back because I just laid square stock on top of the frame and just kept going back. And then I made panels for each piece. When I put them on top of the square stock, this is what goes on. This piece of metal lays on halfway on top of the square stock, halfway on from the other direction, halfway on the square stock like that. And then you cannot see where the metal is seamed together. So when you look underneath this car, there is where you see seams of the floor pans where I put them together. So what I am doing is I'm thinking I'm going to rub seam sealer, that's what I've been thinking. Rub seam sealer all over all them spot welds that I put in there. I did not drill any holes or do anything like that. I guess maybe some of the reason is for the speed. I can pluck that on there way faster, way quicker, and spot weld it on the edge like that than I can going and drilling a bunch of holes, laying it in there, doing it 4 and 5 times, and see if basically I was building the car as quick and as strong as I could possible. As you can tell, there's square stock underneath this piece. There's a square stock going from here all the way to the front, all the way down along there, all the way to the front. Piece of panel going over top of it. This is going over the square stock, over top of the square stock. You cannot see where that lies or where that's welded on the underneath. When I go to seam seal it on the underneath, I've got metal like that, so I'll be seam sealing under here. Nice seam bead right underneath there, if you know what I'm saying. When it's underneath, it'll look really clean, easily done. It really doesn't need to be a bathtub and to be sealed up on the inside, because in all honesty, we're going to be sealing it from the underneath. We have the underneath rock guarded all the way around. We have it all blacked out. It looks amazing, looks brand new. If I seal it from the bottom, should I have to seal it from the top? Well, I guess I'm just going to seal it with a seam sealer on the top. On places like this, I have an idea. This is what I'm going to do. I just put it right in front of my face and I have some black hockey tape. I might do it after I rock guard the inside. That's what I'm going to do for the inside of this. I'm going to rock guard it, and that's just to black it out and make it a little sound deadener. Where I have the panels cut in the floor, I was thinking that, maybe a piece of Dynamat or whatever that stuff you want to use for the insulation, I could fit it inside each square, and that would bring the floor all leveled up. When you put the carpet in, it would look nice and flat instead of having an indent in it maybe. That's the idea of it, I guess. On this piece here, if I seam seal something like that, to me, it's going to look horrific. If you've ever seam sealed before, it is quite a gooey mess. It's a gooey mess. And when you play with it a lot, it just gets worse. You can have a cup of thinner with you right beside you, having your finger in it and rubbing it and playing with it and doing that with it. You can if you want to. I'm not that kind of guy. I'd rather get it done than mess with it. I'm going to take this here like this. I'm going to put that over top of, I was going to do it all right. Something like yay. And then flop it down over top like that. And then I'm going to rock guard it after. That's my plan. I know, probably a lot of people think that they've never seen that before. He's taping up seams in his car. Well, you've never seen that before. I've never ever done it before, to be honest with you. But in all honesty, we cleaned out the car. Doug scuffed it all down yesterday and got it cleaned up pretty good. But that right there looks better than it ever has with that on there. And I'm not thinking about sealing it like when I go from on the underneath of the car, when the car goes up again, because it's got to come off again. We haven't got everything hooked up, but when it comes off again, I will run all that seam seal around there, and there will be no need really for this, but it'll be there. When I rock guard that, I'm feeling like it'll become you won't see it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Excuse me for a second. Let's just get a little more tape. I was telling Jolene this morning that her car is very hard to work on, and the reason being is everything's like so sharp and so small, and it's just really hard to work on. I don't want to make her feel bad or anything, but it's just really hard to work on. The only thing with this hockey tape is it'll rip on you very easily. Hopefully that'll feather out nice. I'm not going to do this everywhere, I don't think, but I'm going to do it on the console, that's for sure. I just pull that back up there. Where I have it spot welded like that, there's no fear of that coming apart, in my honest opinion. When you start drilling holes and stuff like that, sometimes they do not penetrate and sometimes they'll pop off. But when I put the seam sealer on that, you guaranteed, if you've ever used seam seal before, you know that you're not getting that seam sealer once it dries and it gets in between all the little spots and in the little holes. That's basically, you won't get it off. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, you're supposed to epoxy and you're supposed to prime and all that stuff before you put your seam sealer on. And what I'm going to say is, take some seam sealer and put it on your metal, let it dry, and see if you can get it off. And then you'll know. And plus, this metal has had sandblasting hit it. It's been all kind of scratched from before. It's got grinder marks in it. It's got all kinds of adhesion stuff going on. Oh, didn't want to do that. Stick my tape together. Stick it down on that seam. Seam sealer is very hard to put on and make look good. I'm not putting seam sealer on at the present moment, but it is. Just going to rip a little bit up. On that there, to me, to rub seam sealer over top of that, I'm not sure if I want to or not. Let's try a little bit of seam sealer and then we'll go with the tape after. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet, to be honest with you. I'm just kind of, this is all coming from my head right at the present moment. Not sure if I'm doing the right thing or whatever, but that tape does look better there, and I feel like when I rock guard that, you'll never even notice that. I doubt it. Seam sealer, I feel, is the same way. I'd like to seam seal it. I'd actually like to rock guard it and then seam seal it after I rock guard it, to be honest with you. Let's do that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tape on where I feel it's necessary. Tape this up around here. know. I can't make up my mind. Let's pull this off and try it. Generally, I have been rock guarding first and then running the seam sealer over top of it. It just flows in really nice, I find. But I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna grab a little bit of rock guard right behind us. This is all an experiment right at the present moment. I knew exactly what I wanted, I'd just go for it, but I don't know yet. The traditional way is to prime it, seam seal it, wait, paint it. I'm trying to not deal with the primer issue. I'm trying to skip something, I guess. Wow. Just looking at that console. Let's just spray a little bit on that console there. You would never even know that was welded. As long as it doesn't do anything to the tape, I guess, is all I'm wondering. Let's do this for a second. It won't hurt anything. Just testing something. Not gonna hurt anything underneath there. Well, the frame's shiny, but. Just want to see if the rock guard is going to do anything to the tape. If it doesn't, well, I'm not sure what I'll do. Remember how I told you, I'm going to I know one thing, you have to leave your hands out of it till it dries. So I could tape that down there too. Like, I mean, it's underneath, it looks awesome. Whether to start smearing seam sealer all over it, I just don't know if it makes sense or not. Whether it's worth it, or you go look inside on our 50 Ford, it's an absolute mess in the inside. It is on generally any 50s car. On that Hudson Terraplane right directly behind you, has no seam sealer in it whatsoever, and it looks fantastic, doesn't it? There is a reason for, certain things, I guess, but if I'm going to seam seal this car from underneath, why would I bother seam sealing from the top? Am I trying to make a bathtub? I'm not. Like, to me, that looks way better. As long as the tape's on there, and it goes on good. Basically what I'm waiting for. I guess this video right here, I'm experimenting. I'm actually not going to, I feel like as I'm watching that dry there a little bit on the top of the console with the tape on the seam, I enjoy that way better than seam sealing. Way better, way better. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of rock guard on, more rock guard on this edge, right here. I'm just going to glass it on, and I'll give myself something to play with. I know what you're thinking, boys, but that's not true. We'll put a little bit like that. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave that like that. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to see how that tape sticks to that, where I've done that, and other than to the metal itself, because the metal, it sticks pretty good on the metal. You have to pull it off, obviously. I'm just wondering how that tape would stick to that, if it would stick to it better or not. Because if it does, I'll just go around all the seams and put that rock guard on there and then stick the tape on. Whatever I feel is the best. Then I'm going to wait until to see how this dries and how the tape looks, and if the edges are fine, and then how it feels. Basically, I'm just going to see how it feels, and I'll rock guard it again, no doubt. So, in all honesty, I don't feel like I'm going to rock guard the inside of the car if that turns out the way that turns out. And the reason being is I'll hold up a little bit and I'll tape all the seams and then I'll rock guard it off. How about I tape off this sort of stuff, we'll wait and then see what happens. Because I'm kind of curious myself. I don't feel like...
You just have to start it slow.
Oh, I understand, sweetheart. I understand. I understand. These are some pinholes we got going on here. So what we'll do after a little bit, we'll go along with some primer and fill them full. I think we should. I just want to get some tape on the outside of this, so when we rock guard the inside, we're not going anywhere. We have to remember, we don't have to remember, we're basically just blacking the inside out with the rocker guard. And the reason I feel the rocker guard's good because it looks good, and also it should have a little sound barrier to it, a little bit of one. If you're into this stuff, seam sealer is always basically used on every car, I would say, on any new car to seam or to seal anything up. They call it seam sealer. It could be tire as far as we know, but it does accept paint and that sort of stuff. But on this one here, where this car is, I don't know what to say. It is what it is. Does it need seam sealer? I'm not sure if it does or if it doesn't. I don't think it does, to be honest with you. Yeah, I thought I was just going to black it out, but I never had my mind made up yet. I see how I got that tape ripped there in the back. I'd do that over again. You see this right here? I'd make that fit better. If you know what I'm trying to say. Didn't have it ripped down there. Just wanna, yeah. And the tape I didn't have stuck down. Just want to see what's going to go in here. What do you think?
It looks good.
Can I hear that a little louder for the audience? What's it look, baby? What do you think it looks like?
It looks good.
It looks good, doesn't it? To me, I can flash a bunch of seam sealer all over the whole thing and make it look horrible inside. It really.
But if it's going to be seam sealed from underneath.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm at. So I'm kind of, like I'm saying, I'm fighting traditional. And I'm fighting with something that I've come up with, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like I said, everybody generally it primes it, seam seals it, paints it. I'm thinking about taping it, rock guarding it. You know what I mean? I'm cutting out, well, that stuff there, that seam sealer there is probably I don't know, $10, $20 a tube. Anyways, and the effort to get it all sealed off so you can do something with it is another thing. That's what I'm doing. So I'm just going to fight myself. And if that goes good, if that stays good like that, I mean, to be honest with you, you wouldn't even know that console was welded in there, would you? Like, you wouldn't know that was welded right across there, would you? But focus on that, you would never know that was welded on there like it was. To me, it doesn't seem like you would. It's cleaner. Not saying it's anything, but that's all the tape we have there for that. Basically, I want to let that cure. I don't want to do anything to it till I let that cure and see what that's going to feel like, and see what it's going to work out like. And the reason being is because if that works out, I am not going to seam seal that. I'm not going to seam seal any of it. I'm going to tape it and rock guard it. That's where it's at, if that deal's nice. And I will not know unless I let it cure. Unless I let it, whatever. Then I can do the test. I can put the tape on the metal. I know how it's going to react right there, because that's what I did there. Put the tape around the metal and then rock guard. Then I'm going to put the tape on the rock guard and rock guard it. And then I'll know both ways which it works the best. How I feel, I guess. Basically, I want to know if that rock guard flips that edges of that tape up. That's what I want to know. And it hasn't yet, so it's going good. Let's go in here for a second, sweetheart. All right, this is kind of like, that's seam sealer stuff there. That doesn't look good. Like that's very ugly and very hard to deal with and make something look nice. But anyways, on the 50, we're down, we're on 220. And everything is looking good. I really have to, we're trying to get rid of some snow up front. I want to get this car outdoors to get it blown out to do a really good job. I can't. It's kind of backed in a corner right at the present moment. Got my fingernails or my fingertips sanded off, but it's sanding out really good. I got to thank Doug and Jolene for helping me. I want Jolene to come here for a minute. I'm not sure yesterday when we showed the video if she realized the lines that I was trying to show on the top. Basically, if you look down the fender of the car, how it goes like this, and it goes around, and then it goes around. You can see the quarter panel, how I got the line coming down. That's basically what I was going for. And you can go from front to back, and it has that. Same on this side. And that's what I did with the block. Basically, I was just trying to straighten that line out going down through. I'm thinking that the car is probably, it's done in the 220. Basically got a little tiny bit to do inside the doors and ready to go. But it looks pretty good. There's not a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm going to do to it other than keep sanding on it. Today is Jolene's car, and I'm going to deal with what's going on with that. Just going to take a look at it again. And that rock guard will take at least a half hour to cure, to touch, I would say, or that's what I would think I'd want to have. But if I can make that, I'll spray that anyways, but we'll just go light first and then carry on from there. Yeah, if I put seam sealer along there, it wouldn't have looked that good, to be honest with you. That actually looks fantastic. And if I can make that seam down there look like that with tape and rocker, that's what I'm doing. The underneath looks like that, so why not get it looking like that? Another thing too, with doing it that way, if I can get that on there, if I ever go to get it inside the car, if you step your foot in that seam sealer, it is a kind of a pliable thing. anyways, it turns and twists or whatever. There's quite a few seams going on there, but I think that might be the direction I'm gonna go. You come back tomorrow and I will know which way I'm going, and I will do the whole car for you right in front of your very eyes. I appreciate everybody coming back. Didn't know, basically like I said before, didn't know what I was doing. Once I get it figured out, you come back tomorrow, we'll black the inside of the car out. We'll make Jolene so happy that she'll smile all day. All right, everybody, come back tomorrow and we'll be here.